Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving deep into an incredible story of faith, integrity, and perseverance from the Bible. Genesis chapter 39. Get ready to be inspired, because Joseph's journey in Potiphar's house is a masterclass in staying true to yourself, no matter the challenges. So, let's set the scene. We last left Joseph, Jacob's beloved son, in a really dark place. His own brothers, out of jealousy, sold him into slavery. Can you imagine that betrayal? But even in the midst of this heartbreaking ordeal, God was with Joseph. He was taken to Egypt and bought by Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh and captain of the guard. Now this isn't exactly a dream job, right? From a favored son to a slave in a foreign land. But here's where Joseph's incredible character starts to shine. The Bible tells us, "The Lord was with Joseph, and he was a successful man." This isn't just a throwaway line. It's the core of Joseph's strength. Everywhere Joseph went, God's favor was evident. Potiphar quickly noticed this. He saw that whatever Joseph did, God made it prosper. And because of this, Joseph found favor in Potiphar's eyes and became his personal attendant. Think about that for a second. From a slave in the fields to managing Potiphar's entire household. That's a huge promotion. And it wasn't just because Joseph was smart. It was because God was clearly working through him. Potiphar trusted Joseph so completely that he put him in charge of everything he owned. He didn't concern himself with anything except the food he ate. Everything else was Joseph's responsibility. This is a testament to Joseph's diligence, his honesty, and his incredible work ethic. He wasn't just doing the bare minimum. He was excelling, even in a position he didn't choose for himself. This teaches us a powerful lesson. No matter where you are or what your circumstances, you can choose to operate with excellence and integrity. When you do that, amazing things can happen. Now, Joseph wasn't just a diligent worker. He was also described as handsome in form and appearance. And this is where our story takes a dramatic turn. Potiphar's wife started to notice Joseph. She saw his good looks, his trustworthy nature, and probably the way he carried himself with dignity despite his enslaved status. And eventually she started making advances toward him. Imagine the pressure Joseph was under. He's a young man, far from home, in a powerful man's household, and his master's wife is trying to seduce him. This is a huge temptation, and it could have been so easy for him to give in. Maybe he thought it would make his life easier, or that he could gain more favor. But Joseph's integrity was stronger than any temptation. Day after day, she pressed him. But Joseph consistently refused. And listen to his reasoning, because it's absolutely profound. He said, "Look, my master does not know what is with me in the house, and he has committed all that he has to my hand. There is no one greater in this house than I, nor has he kept back anything from me but you, because you are his wife. How then can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Did you catch that? He didn't just say, "I can't do this" to Potiphar. He said, "How can I do this great wickedness and sin against God?" Joseph understood that his actions had implications far beyond his immediate situation. He recognized that adultery was not just a betrayal of Potiphar, but a direct offense against God himself. This shows the depth of his faith and his moral compass. He was living his life in a way that honored God, even when no one else was watching, or so he thought. But Potiphar's wife was relentless. One day, when Joseph went into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were inside, she seized him by his garment, demanding, "Lie with me." This was a critical moment. Joseph had a choice. He could fight, he could argue, or he could flee. And what did he do? He left his garment in her hand and fled, getting out of the house. He literally ran away from temptation. This is such a powerful example for us. Sometimes the best way to deal with temptation isn't to stand there and try to reason with it, but to run. Get yourself out of the situation. Remove yourself from the environment or the company that's leading you astray. Joseph prioritized his integrity and his relationship with God over everything else, even his own safety and comfort. Of course, Potiphar's wife was furious and embarrassed by his rejection. So she twisted the story. She called out to the men of her household and falsely accused Joseph, saying he came in to mock her and tried to lie with her, and that she cried out, causing him to flee and leave his garment behind. When Potiphar came home, she repeated her fabricated story, showing him Joseph's garment as proof. Now, imagine Potiphar's reaction. His trusted steward, the man he had put everything into, being accused of such a heinous crime by his own wife. He was enraged, and without much of a trial, or perhaps any at all, Joseph was taken and thrown into prison, the very place where the king's prisoners were confined. From the top of the household management to the bottom of a dark prison cell. What a turn of events, and all for doing the right thing. It would be so easy to become bitter, to question God, to feel like you've been unfairly punished for your faithfulness. But this is where Joseph's story continues to inspire. Even in prison, the Lord was with Joseph and showed him steadfast love and granted him favor in the sight of the keeper of the prison. Just like in Potiphar's house, God's presence and favor followed Joseph. The prison keeper soon saw Joseph's diligence and trustworthiness, just as Potiphar had. He entrusted Joseph with all the prisoners and everything that was done in the prison. The keeper didn't oversee anything that was in Joseph's charge, because the Lord was with him, and whatever he did, the Lord made it succeed. This is the incredible resilience and unwavering faith of Joseph. Even when things look absolutely bleak, when you're in the lowest point of your life, God is still with you. He can use even the most unjust and difficult circumstances to prepare you for something greater. Joseph's time in prison wasn't wasted. It was a period of preparation, a training ground for the immense responsibilities that God had planned for him later on. He learned leadership, management, and perhaps most importantly, humility and dependence on God. So, what can we take away from Genesis 39? First, integrity matters. Joseph chose to honor God and his master, even when it was incredibly difficult and costly. Your character, your commitment to doing what's right, is your most valuable asset. Second, flee temptation. Sometimes, fighting temptation head-on isn't the wisest strategy. Knowing when to physically remove yourself from a situation is a powerful defense. Third, God is with you, even in the darkest valleys. Joseph was sold into slavery, falsely accused, and thrown into prison. Yet the Bible consistently tells us, the Lord was with Joseph. No matter what challenges you're facing, remember that God's presence and favor can turn even the most dire circumstances into opportunities for growth and eventual triumph. Joseph's story is a powerful reminder that our faithfulness, even when unseen or unrewarded in the short term, never goes unnoticed by God. He has a plan, and He is always working things out for our good, even when it feels like everything is falling apart. Thank you so much for joining me today for this deep dive into Genesis 39. I hope Joseph's story has encouraged and inspired you to stand firm in your faith and integrity, no matter what comes your way. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button, share it with a friend, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more uplifting and insightful content. We love having you here. Until next time, stay blessed.